So I might regret doing this video because there might be some little Timmies or some cringe Marvel stans leaving a hate comment on why their favorite movie is in a low tier. And I've actually reconsidered my decisions before getting murdered by the Marvel community. But after thinking about it, here the heck I am. So with that being said, a quick disclaimer that this is all my opinions. I am completely biased to some of these movies. I don't care. Some people say, "Oh my God, why are you so biased?" Well, this is the exact point. I'm like really biased to several movies. So yeah, if your favorite movie is in there, just leave a dislike. I don't care. And comment on, do you agree on this tier list or not? Starting off with our tier list, I made a lot of tiers here. We have godly, like my favorites. Here we have S tier, good, average. Here we have this getting to the bad part, small yikes, big yikes. Who signed this? Who signed this off? Because theoretically, who agreed to even make this movie? And there are actually some that I haven't watched yet. Alright, so I want to start with the very first movies. First up is Iron Man. And Iron Man, the original one from 2008, I recently rewatched this movie and honestly, it is just so good. Like, I didn't know it was too good because it's been quite a while since I watched this movie, but I recently rewatched it and honestly, like, I'm obviously biased here, but going up to godly tier. Like, I just really like this movie. It's just such a masterpiece. Like, everything is just so well. So that's the first movie. Second movie is The Incredible Hulk, which a lot of people don't actually know it's in the MCU. Probably the most disconnected movie from Marvel Studios, as it wasn't actually played by Mark Ruffalo. It was played by Edward Norton, and it was a completely different actor. And nobody really knows that it's part of the MCU, except if you watch closely. There's actually Tony Stark in that movie. But actually, I haven't watched this movie. Well, technically I did. I watched it through an old DVD I had. I watched it around like, I don't know, when I was still a baby, and obviously I don't remember. And I can't just rewatch this movie. Like, I don't buy DVDs anymore. That DVD is probably thrown away. I don't know. I mean, like, who watches DVDs these days? And also, it's not in Disney Plus. It's not in Netflix. It's not in any streaming services. So I couldn't access this movie. So I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna have to put it in haven't watched because that's the truth. I haven't watched it. Second movie in MCU is obviously Iron Man 2. And Iron Man 2 gets a lot of hate, but I I I honestly think that this movie is sort of a little bit messy with its storyline. Like, I would kind of describe it as Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker or The Last Jedi. But yeah, and for that reason, actually, I don't think it's the worst MCU movie. People usually put it near the bottom, but I'm gonna put it at small yikes. Our fourth MCU movie, Thor 1. Haven't watched the movie yet. Okay, I swear this is the only two movies I haven't watched. I haven't bothered to watch Thor 1. I could just watch it now on Disney Plus, but I am busy and I just want to get this video out. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna have to do that. Later, probably tomorrow, I will rewatch it and I will share my opinions on the comments. So, yeah. Movie number 5. No, we're still in 2011, but Captain America, the First Avenger. This movie is not too bad, if I'm being really honest. Like I'm not that into that like World War II theme. Like, I'm a fan of history, but I'm not a fan of like movies going back to the 1940s. Probably like, one of my least favorite eras if I look my movies, 1940s movies. But yeah, it's pretty average in my opinion. I'm just gonna leave it there. And it's not in Disney Plus for some reason. Thankfully, I have watched it recently on a DVD. So yeah. Next up, 2012, The Avengers. This. I might get flamed a lot for this, but I'm actually going to put it in average. There's just something about it that I don't feel like it stands up to the current Marvel movies. Yeah, sure, it's simple, it's good, but just don't think it's going to be up there. I know I'm probably gonna get murdered by Avengers diehard fans right now. But whatever you think, this is my opinion. I don't care. And after thinking about it, I think I might move down Iron Man 2 and Captain America the First Avenger down because Avengers is obviously better than them. Next movie, Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is going. It isn't that bad in my opinion. I watched a couple of times, and I would say it's a decent average. Like some people obviously complain about the Mandarin twist, but I don't know. That's not too bad in my opinion. I mean, it's honestly not as disappointing as the freaking Ralph Boner twist in WandaVision. Yeah, obviously that's not here yet. Movie number 7, we're going to 2014, Captain America Winter Soldier. Yeah, I think we all know where this bad boy is going to go. Obviously it's going to go to God tier. Like, actually, I really enjoyed watching this movie. I just love the spy team and all of that, and the whole Hydra infiltrating Shield team. That's really really good. And obviously we get introduced to Sam, and obviously Sam, no, not Sam. Obviously Steve discovers that Bucky is still alive. He's the Winter Soldier, obviously, and then Bucky actually kind of remembers Sam, and then he goes out hiding in Romania until he goes back on the Fiasco. But that's not here yet, though. 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm actually a big fan of Guardians, and for that reason I'm going putting it at good. It's not a god tier movie for me, but it is really good. So in my opinion, it does deserve a spot in the good tier. Next up, we got a 2015 movie, Avengers Age of Ultron. Oh, and we forgot to actually rank Thor the Dark World. Yeah, like, do I even need to hesitate telling you why this movie is so trash? It's obviously going down there. Like, oh my god, such a mess of a movie if I'm really honest. I actually just recently watched it. Like, I remember I binge watched a lot of Marvel movies because I haven't really watched the earlier movies. I only became a Marvel hardcore fan when Guardians came out, and Thor the Dark World. Oh my god, such a mess. And so with that out of the way, Avengers Age of Ultron. I might get murdered by Marvel stans again this time. Yeah, totally, 100%. This is one of my most biggest Marvel hot takes ever. I didn't actually think about this until I rewatched all the Avengers movies, and yeah, it's just something that I honestly think it's a little bit underrated, and it's going above the Avengers. I know. I am so sorry if I if I triggered anyone there that obviously hates this movie. Obviously, a lot of people hates this movie, but I mean, like, it's just my opinion. And obviously, we get introduced to a lot of characters such as Wanda, Pietro, and Vision. Obviously, Wanda and Pietro were in the post-credit scene in Winter Soldier, but they really first appeared in this movie. And the whole Sokovia thing with the Ultron, that's just really good. And Ultron is obviously such a wise and smart villain. So I might get roasted in the comments. I don't really care. Just keep it going. It's okay. It's all my opinion. Next movie, Ant-Man. Ant-Man, I didn't really enjoy Ant-Man. Like, at first I thought it was kind of cool, but after rewatching it, it just doesn't live up to the standards of many MCU movie in my opinion. So it's going to small yikes. Just a bit of a yikes in my opinion. It's not that bad. It's not good either. It's just going to small yikes. After this, we have Captain America Civil War. In my opinion, this movie is a little bit overrated, but obviously still really, really good. And in my opinion, it's going to go to S tier. It's really, really good, but not as good as some people say. Not as good as these two movies in the moment. So, yeah, there it is. Civil War. Next movie, Doctor Strange. I actually think this movie is really, really underrated. I absolutely enjoyed Doctor Strange, like the visuals, not just the visuals, like everything, like the mythical feel about it. I just really like that. And for that, this has to go to S tier, one of my personal favorites. It's not exactly at godly yet, but it's at S tier, and I'm really excited for that sequel that's gonna come next year. Next up, we got the 2017 movie Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I might get roasted for this as well, but it's S tier. I just like it better than the first movie, just because of like I really like the comedy factor. Like a lot of people obviously hated it, but I really liked it, and the whole ego thing, Star Star Lord's dad, that's really cool. And obviously, the whole planet being blown up by a tree and a small raccoon. I just like this movie. So it's going to ST. Next up, we got Spider-Man: Homecoming. Homecoming is actually really really good. I just like the simplicity of this movie and everything like that. But therefore, it is obviously not going to godly. It is nowhere near that level. The villain may not be as strong, but it is it is a really really good Spider-Man villain in my opinion. And it's going to S tier. Really like Spider-Man movies, and this is just one of them. Next up, we got Thor Ragnarok. Now, a lot of people might disagree with this, but it's going to godly. It's just one of my personal favorite Marvel movies ever. It's just one of my favorite Marvel movies, and I just really liked everything that went into this movie, like the comedy factor, the whole Asgard um, being destroyed thing, and obviously Hulk also made an appearance in this movie. And I know a lot of people like to joke around about how Hulk and Thor became a joke in this movie. Well, not really Thor. Thor got really strong with his new powers, but Hulk, yeah. And I just like everything about this movie when I first watched it. It's just one of my personal favorites, so it's going to godly with these two other godly movies. Next movie we got is Black Panther. Now, if I'm being really honest, I didn't like this movie when I first watched it. There's just something about it that was a little bit off for me, but it is because I didn't really care about this character back then. And also, oh yeah, and also obviously Rip Chadwick Boseman, and I wasn't really paying attention to the movie at that time. But when I rewatched it a lot of times, it's actually one of my personal favorites. Like the technology, the future technology over there, the whole traditional feel to it, like really traditional Africa, and all of it, the culture experience. I think this is gonna go to godly. Like no doubt about it, one of my favorites. I know a lot of people like to complain on how this movie's overrated, but it's just going to godly. It's my personal preference. Yeah. Next up, we got Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War, I really don't need to say anything, but it is obviously going to God tier. Probably my favorite MCU movie in the moment, along with these movies. These are all my favorites in godly tier. Just all the battles along the way, and obviously the final snap at the end. That was really, really cool. And obviously you got the kind of sad ending, but obviously Thanos really got what he deserved. He was working really hard for it, like so many years, and he finally got to do the thing that he wanted to do. So great job, Thanos. Felt really happy for him. But I mean, but actually, when I was watching it, I actually thought the MCU was actually ending. I actually thought all the characters were gone for good. I wasn't like that hardcore. I didn't look at like any announcements. Like I didn't know that Endgame was eventually gonna come. And yeah, I actually thought this would be the last ever Marvel movie. I thought the franchise was dead. I thought it was like X-Men. Obviously, X-Men died, but it's gonna come back with Disney. So that's going in there. Next up, we got Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, I'm not a big fan of Ant-Man movies, but this movie, the Quantum Realm, obviously I really like the Quantum Realm idea, and obviously it's set up for a big thing that we won't talk for now, but honestly, it's a good average. Like I like the whole factor of it. Obviously, Ant-Man movies lean more towards comedy, but I feel like they're just like not that right. I obviously like movies that do that, but not Ant-Man movies. Next up, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, obviously, a lot of controversy behind this movie with the whole Brie Larson thing, and I kind of like how she's gonna be sidelined in her own sequel. But jokes aside, though, this movie, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it. Like I'm not a big fan of the whole theme about this movie. like it's kind of a prequel thing eventually, like even and obviously this movie, the only thing I really like was Nick Fury being the H there. That was a really really cool thing. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan. Like I don't act really hate Brie Larson. I didn't got involved in any of those fiasco. But this movie, it's going on to a small likes because it's not my favorite personally. Avengers Endgame. Endgame. This is gonna be a little bit controversial, but I really don't know. I wanna say that this is honestly borderline godly and S tier because it's just like the whole problem of this is obviously too much chitter chatter for like 2 hours and then the action's like at the very end. So that alone wants me to put it at S tier. But you voice crack. But you gotta just think about that Endgame is the end of the Infinity Saga. It closed everything. And that's why just a lot of people aren't too hyped for Marvel Phase 4. I'm like really hyped for it, but not as hyped as the Infinity Saga. The Infinity Saga was obviously just so much hype, and this just closed and obviously rip Tony Stark, rip Natasha Romanoff, and rip Steve Rogers. So, in my opinion, this is gonna be godly just because of that factor. It's just a close to everything. The ending of Endgame, it's really emotional to me, and not, and I wasn't just sad about Iron Man's death. I was just sad that this feels like the end. Like actually, it's the end of the Infinity Saga, the saga that we all grew up watching. Well, obviously not all, and then following that is Far From Home, and from here I just became a full-blown hardcore Marvel fan. I'm not a stan. I'm never a stan. Don't be a stan. That's bad. But Far From Home is really good. I rate it. I put it in the good section. Like not as good as Homecoming in my opinion because of I don't really like the whole romantic theme to this movie. But I rate it. Alright. I put it at good. It's not too bad. And to finish off, we got our two series that recently came in. Obviously, Loki is releasing in about 2 weeks. It's coming really really soon. But for now, this is all we got. WandaVision. WandaVision. The first time I watched this, I wasn't a big fan. Actually, I was a big fan of it. Like I knew I had to be patient. A lot of people just wasn't patient. They're like, "Oh my god, this is dog water. Like, what do you mean, Marvel? You literally just took a 1 year break and you came out Phase 4 with a sitcom." But I mean, you gotta understand that obviously this wasn't meant to be the first movie in Phase 4. Like literally, like Shang-Chi, Eternals, Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they were all supposed to come before WandaVision. They were all supposed to be the first few projects on Phase 4. But this thing, like staying patient on WandaVision and not just calling the show trash immediately was one of the best things ever because I just really loved it when we eventually got to episode 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I know every single Friday, like who gives a crap about going home fast or the next day is weekday. No, nobody cares about that. Friday is all about WandaVision, and it's one of my favorite things Marvel Studios have ever made. So it is going to godly. And I also want to add into this, but a thing that I don't like about WandaVision is the finale. The finale was sort of a letdown for me, and even though it was a really quality finale, I was a little bit underwhelmed because there was no sort of cameos from people like Doctor Strange or Magneto or even Mephisto. And also that whole Ralph Boner Pietro Quicksilver twist, that was really disappointing. They just wasted a really good X-Men Quicksilver character for a boner joke. It's just the hype around it that's just so good in my opinion. And finally, we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is really good. Like the first few episodes, it's kind of a yikes. It's just their casual lives, like what has been Sam up to, or Bucky. And okay, that's an accident. I actually think it's not too bad. Like the first few episodes was kind of a yikes. Episode 3, Mad Report, that's not too bad. Episode 4 is probably one of my favorite ones. Probably my favorite one because, the John Walker stabbing that guy and then that final moment is just so good. And obviously, we got the Dora Milaje coming in. And honestly, however, though, I honestly don't think it's as good as WandaVision. Like, a lot of people think that it's better because it's not a sitcom. Well, I don't care if it's not a sitcom. Like, I don't care. It doesn't have to be action, but it doesn't necessarily have to be 2 hours chitter chatting like Endgame is. But this thing just honestly didn't have too much hype around it, and that's pretty much my whole issue. And also, I honestly think, in my personal opinion, like some people might disagree, but I honestly think it needed a little bit more episodes because episode 4 or 3 was just, I just felt it was starting to build up. Episode 5 was getting kind of hyped, it was building up, but then they ended the show really early. So I honestly don't rate this too much. I would say it's S tier. It's really good. The cinematics is amazing, but S tier, it's like borderline S tier and good, just but because of the cinematics, it's S tier. It's not going to godly because I don't feel too much hype around it. Like, obviously, this is all my personal preference. I'm really, really biased. So yes, that is it. My whole MCU tier list. I don't care if anyone just, like, I don't like some 9-year-old Timmy or Jimmy's might just go down to the comments and just ask like, oh my god, why isn't this movie in godly tier? Well, I don't care. All right, this is my own personal preference. This is it. Take a look at it. And I know some of my friends are probably gonna roast me for this, but yeah, that is it. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave it like and subscribe, and have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.